Hi everyone, welcome to our maths video for this week, and we're going to be learning about reading scales on thermometers, which are things that are used to measure temperature. So it fits in nicely with our work that we've been doing about weather over the last couple of weeks. So bear with me a second, here we go. So we're on our maths. And the first thing I'd like you to do is we've got some sentences here that we're going to try and fill in. The words that are missing are all at the bottom, so you can move, so we can think about where they need to go. So we use our something to measure temperature. Do we think it's going to be increases, Celsius, thermometer, or decreases? What do we use to measure a temperature? We use a thermometer. Okay, and this is something that you might have had done recently to see whether you're poorly or not. You can use a thermometer to see what your body temperature is, but we also use a thermometer to measure the temperature outside. We measure temperature in degrees something. Is it degrees increases, degrees Celsius, or degrees decreases? And the measure that we use is degrees Celsius. That's the correct one. If the temperature, it gets warmer. So we've got increases and decreases left. When's it going to get warmer? Is it when the temperature increases or when the temperature decreases? If it's getting warmer, it means it's hotter, which means it's going up. So it's going to be that it increases, which means it's getting higher. And then if the temperature something, it gets colder. So the only one we've got left is the word decreases. And that will make sense because if the temperature decreases, it goes down, and then the weather's getting colder outside. So we're going to have a look at some thermometers and how we can read the scales, because it's not always going to have the same numbers going up the side, which is the important thing we want to look at today. It's a bit like looking at number sequences. So it's things that we've done before, just in a different way. So the first one, we've got the temperature is. So we're trying to work out what the temperature is. The first thing I need to do is I need to look at what the numbers are going up in. So it starts with the number 1, then we've got a missing number, and then we've got the number 3. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So what's it going up in? We are counting in ones because it's going to be 1. And I know that the missing number will be 2 degrees Celsius, so I can write that on to help me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is going to be the next missing number. And then it's going up to 7. Now, the way that I actually read the temperature is I need to read where the red marker is going up to, and that will tell me what the temperature is right now. So on this thermometer, the temperature is measuring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I can look at that because it's the number along the side. So I can write down that the temperature is 7 degrees Celsius. That was just a simple one to get us started off. Sometimes the numbers won't be as simple as this and they won't be going in ones. We've got to learn how to spot patterns and how to work out what the numbers are going up in and what the scale is. Okay, so this is the next one that we're going to have a look at. Now we're going to do the same thing. And we're going to look at what the numbers are going up in, up the side of the thermometer. So we've got 0, 10, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, 100. So what's that pattern? Where do we know those numbers from? What are they going up in? And we know that they're going up in tens. And I can see that because each time the ones digit is not changing. If we look at that, we've got 0 each time in the ones column, but in the tens column, it's getting bigger by 1. So it's going up by 1/10 each time. So what's the missing number going to be for here? If we've got 0, 10, 30, the missing number is going to be 20, isn't it? So I'm going to put my 20 degrees Celsius in there. And then I've got another few missing numbers, which I'm going to fill them all in because I know I can. So I've got 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and then 80, and 90. Okay. So what do we think? What's the temperature on this thermometer? So we're going to look at where it's going up to again. So 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So the temperature on this thermometer is showing 70 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that's how you approach that kind of question where you've just got a thermometer, you've got some missing numbers, and it's asking you to work out what the temperature is. The next type of question that you're going to have today on your maths learning is to find which is the highest temperature. So we're looking at these two thermometers, A and B, and we've got to decide which one is showing the highest temperature. So it's going to be the biggest number. So we're going to do what we did before. We're going to look at what the scales are going up in, and that should help us. So we've got, let's look at this one first. So we've got 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So what's it going up in? It's going up in 20s, which is a bit harder for us to spot. But each one's going up in 20, but we've got a missing line between them. So what's halfway between 0 and 20? If you think about a number line, we've got 0 here, we've got 20 here. What number is going to be exactly in the middle? Well done if you knew, if you thought that the number was 10. 10 is the missing number in the middle. So each missing line on this thermometer is going to be worth 10. So I've got 10, looks like a 0, 10 degrees Celsius, 30, 40, 50, and so on. I'm not going to do any more because it doesn't go past that bit. And I can see that on this thermometer, the temperature is going up to 10 degrees Celsius. So I'm just going to write that down to remind myself what A was. Okay, and then we're going to look at B. Now you might think straight away that B is going to be a higher temperature because the red bit's going up more, but we don't know what each step is going up in. So we've got to work that out before we can do it. So we've got something, 2, 6, 10, 14, 16. So this is quite tricky to spot, but if you think about it, let's imagine that it's going up in ones first. So I'm going to put 1 degree and I'm going to put 3 degrees. Let's see if that makes sense. Okay, because sometimes it's a bit of trial and error, it's a bit of testing things out to see if it works. So 1, 2, 3, 6. That doesn't work, does it? So I'll get rid of all that and we'll have another think about what it could be going up in. Let's try our 2s. So I would have 0 degrees Celsius, 2, 4 degrees Celsius, 6, it's going well so far. Let's keep labeling them and see if we're happy with it. 8 degrees Celsius, then it would be 10, 12, 14. I think there's a mistake on this. It should be going up in our 2s, and this one should be 16 and this one should be 18. So I'm going to change that. So that one should be 16 and this one should be 12 because they all make sense, don't they, apart from that one. Okay, so if we look at where the temperature is going up to on this one, it's taking us up to 8 degrees Celsius. Okay, so despite the fact that B looked like it was going up further up the thermometer, the hottest temperature is in thermometer A because it's got a higher number, because 10 is bigger than 8. So the winning one, the hottest one, is 8, is A, the highest temperature. Okay, apologies for my not being able to get my words out today. Right, the next one, it's a true or false question. So our answer is just going to be true or false, but we're going to try and work it out like we've done with all the other ones so far. Some of these questions are quite tricky this week, so you need to read them really carefully so you know what it's asking you. So we've got true or false, the temperature is 31 degrees Celsius. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it's close to 30, so maybe it could be 31. Let's work out what each thing's going up in. If it was going up in ones each time, I'd have 0, 1, 10, 11, 20, 21, 30. Does that make sense? Because it's got the same amount of gap between it, so it needs to have an equal set of numbers between each line, so it doesn't make sense. Those numbers don't follow on in a pattern. So let's think about what it could be going up in. This line in the middle is exactly halfway between 0 and 10. So if I draw myself another little number line, I've got 0 here and I've got 10 here. What number comes exactly in the middle of 0 and 10? 5, isn't it? 5 comes exactly in the middle, and we know that because in our number bonds we've got 5 and 5 makes 10. Okay, so 5 is exactly in the middle. So let's try and label this thermometer in our 5s and see if it works. Okay, it might not, we might have to do it again, but we'll see if it works first because we don't want to rush it and get the answer wrong. So 5, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and it works all the way up the thermometer, so that must be the correct scale. It's going up in 5s. Okay, so now we're going to look at where the thermometer, where the temperature is. So we're going to look up all the way up to the top of the red bit, and it's going up to 35, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So the correct answer should be 35. So is it true or is it false that the temperature is 31? The answer is going to be false for this one because it's not 31. We know it's 35 and we've worked that out using our scale. Okay, the next type of question that you're going to be faced with this week, which we've been doing all along actually because I've been teaching you to do it for each question, but it's asking us to fill in the numbers on the scale and then it's asking us to write the temperature. So it's just what we've been doing already. So we've got 0, 2, 6, 8, 10, 14, 20. So we can see if we look at 6, 8, 10, it's going up in, if we think about the difference between 6 and 10, put 6 in my head, 6, 7, 8, it's going up in 2s, and I recognise that pattern. It's all the even numbers, isn't it? But we've just got a few missing, so we need to fill them in. So 0, 2, what's going to be next? We would have 4 degrees Celsius, 6, 8, 10, 12 degrees Celsius, and you'll notice that each time I'm filling in my degrees Celsius to show what we're measuring in, 14, 16 degrees Celsius, 18 degrees Celsius, and then we've got 20. So all of those fit into that scale of 2. Okay, so now we need to have a look and fill in what the temperature is. So we've got 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So the temperature is 12 degrees Celsius on that particular thermometer. So we've had a look at scales of 2. Well, we've looked at a scale of 1, we've looked at a scale of 2, 5 and 10. So you should be well equipped to have a go of the tasks. We're going to do one more question, which is a problem solving question now, just to finish us off and to challenge our brains a little bit. So the question is, Julian is describing a temperature. Draw on the thermometer one possibility of what the temperature could be. So these types of questions are really good because there's not just one correct answer, okay? And this is why sometimes in maths we have to use our brains a lot because there's lots of possible answers, okay? So he says this temperature is greater than 9 but less than 18 degrees Celsius. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to, like I've been doing before, fill in the numbers on the scale, because before I can mark on a number between 9 and 18, I want to know what it's going up in just to make sure. So I could probably hazard a guess at this now, but I want to do it properly and I want to do it thoroughly. So we've got 0, 4, 8, 10, 12, 16, 18. And I recognise this pattern. We've just used it. It's lots of even numbers with a few missing. So I'm going to try my 2s. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, so if I want to mark on the thermometer a temperature that's between 9 and 18, it can be anything because it just says one possibility and there is lots of possible answers. So I'm going to draw myself a temperature of a number that's greater than 9, so it's got to be bigger than 9 and less than 18. I'm going to go for, what number would be halfway between 12 and 14? I wonder if anyone can work that out. So this is my temperature. What number's halfway between 12 and 14? My temperature is 13 degrees Celsius, okay? But that's a problem-solving question just to warm our brains up a little bit more at the end and to make sure that we've challenged ourselves. So now I want you to have a look. You've got task 1, task 2, and task 3. Task 1 are for people that, when we were in school, which feels like forever ago, people that worked with Mrs. Seagrave and Miss Barker for maths. I want people that are doing task 2, people that would have worked in a group with me and Miss Francis or worked independently in maths. And then I want people that really fancy a challenge this week to attempt task 3 because the numbers are a little bit, you'll see the numbers are quite tricky, so it's quite challenging. Okay, so decide which challenge you want to attempt. If you found this tricky, maybe go for task 2. If you found it easy, go for task 3. Okay, good luck and I look forward to seeing your work on Seesaw. Bye.